guys, welcome to my channel. So today I'm going to be doing a reading for Amy Carlson, who was the leader of the Love Has Won cult. She just recently passed away. Her body was found with its eyes out. Her followers had been living with her in that state and put glitter on her, wrapped her in a sleeping bag with Christmas lights around her. So we're going to look into her death and make sure, obviously everything's on the up and up, because that's a really weird thing to do. And she was, I know I just dropped a whole bunch of cards, but if they're meant to come out, they will. She was actually fairly young for her age, for her death. She was actually pretty young, so. Alright, let's get to it. Spirit guides, guardian angels, can you please show me with the tarot what caused the death of Amy Carlson in late March or April of 2021, I think? What caused the death of Amy Carlson? What was the cause of her death? We have the Knight of Swords in reverse. Six of Pentacles in reverse. The Moon in reverse. Interesting. Okay, Spirit, can you please show me why did Amy Carlson's followers take her eyeballs out of her corpse and put glitter on her body or her face and wrap her with Christmas lights? Why did her followers do what they did to Amy's corpse after she passed? Why did they do what they did to Amy Carlson's corpse after she passed away? Ace of Pentacles in reverse. We have the Death card and the King of Cups in reverse. And the last question I have here is, what were the dynamics between Amy Carlson and her followers prior to Amy's death? What were the dynamics between her and her followers? So we have the Two of Swords, the Nine of Swords in reverse, and the Seven of Cups in reverse. And on the bottom, we have the King of Wands in the reverse position. Pretty interesting. Okay, let's look at this. For Amy's death, the Knight of Swords in reverse is, being out of control, leading others to trouble and danger, being insensitive, self-obsessed, rude, acting superior, rushing into things without thinking them through, and putting, everybody into danger. Being very controlling, abusive. So this could be related to them having to fly back, as well as this man that was in her life, this last man that she was with. He seems to have been a very manipulative man, and he brought out the darker qualities of her, so to speak. And, due to the verbal abuse that was already being given, instead of it like releasing and kind of cleansing as it should do, maybe the theory there would be to cleanse it. He used the power that he had over her in order to control the situation, control her, completely get the upper hand. He was very stingy. He had ulterior motives. He's, obviously he was in him, and I believe the people in the group, they all had the means to help her. They were able to help her. They chose not to. They chose to not not help her when she needed it, probably because of the sore spot they had there. I think that might have been a tactic of the male figure to get the upper hand so that people would emotionally attach to him instead. And of course, she was drinking a lot. She was becoming spiraling out of control. The relationship between him and her lacked balance, and she was becoming way too dependent on him and fully trusting him with everything, basically, but obviously was getting played, allegedly, in my opinion. This is how I was reading. He delayed seeking medical advice for her. He kind of manipulated her in that way. He had a power to persuade her and manipulate her. So he, stopped her from seeking medical advice when she wanted to, and when when it was available for her, and caused the medical issue to become more serious. The moon in reverse is, the truth coming out, lies being exposed, um, fears and anxiety. It's also depression and like mental issues, possibly like an affair being exposed, or kind of, since the Six of Pentacles, money manipulation or spending money, hoarding money, something regarding money, being exposed about him, maybe. The truth of the relationship between those two coming to the forefront. It's also related to like delusions, paranoia, blocking or ignoring or like misinterpreting messages that Spirit's trying to give you. So, her intuition was blocked because she was already off balance, and he kind of had control, and she had no way to kind of lift herself up because she didn't have any emotional control. She was unstable. She was drowning already with her mental issues that were clouding her judgment anyway. She didn't see how off kilter everything was. So, why were her eyes out and, her body? The Ace of Pentacles in the reverse is new beginnings, but it's like a lack of opportunities. You're feeling like you have no opportunities available, deals falling through, delays, lack of planning, poor control, feeling insecure and instability, kind of, basically greed and stinginess are influencing the behavior, a feeling of a loss of security due to a lack of action and delaying the recovery when it is said to the public when she's found, basically. The Death card, obviously, it's literal in this particular spread. It's difficult and unexpected or sudden change, letting go of old issues and beliefs, making practical adjustments. It's a difficult transition, of course, to a new beginning, basically, so that they can grieve and basically transform. They're basically forced into this, ending this one thing and going off with the King of Cups, who has manipulated the situation. The King of Cups in reverse, relates to her being taken advantage of, putting herself in a position where she was able to be taken advantage of due to a lack of emotional balance that he caused due to his bitterness, uncaringness, unkindness, and manipulative behavior. He played on the emotions of the followers as well as her emotions to create a barrier to get ultimately what he wanted done. He felt like she was becoming way too dependent on him, and of course, gave the same bitter feelings to the followers because, previously they were like, well, this is part of the program, this is what we're supposed to do, this is how it's just supposed to be, she's just a reflection. Well, his tune kind of changed, He flipped it and said, this is why we need to do it. She's unstable, she's unkilter. I feel like one day, and this is because I know she had like a spine injury. So I'm feeling like she was drunk one day because I read, or not read, but I listened to a video where she was like she had to go pee, but nobody was there and her legs weren't working. And I just feel like it was her own fault that her legs weren't working. I don't think that it had anything to do with an illness. I feel as though she had an accident when nobody was there to help her, because that's another thing that I wanted to mention as well. I'm kind of feeling like, as he convinced her to not seek medical help. He was giving her other things in the dosage of what he was giving her, supposedly to treat her condition. This was a purposely laid thing to ultimately cause him to get full control and to rid himself of her, specifically because she had become a burden. He needed them to see her as the same, that these are the burden, we need to do this so we can push forward. He really manipulated the whole situation. He manipulated, again, everybody's feelings there that was involved so that he could ultimately get what he wanted. So it seems like he got control of everything that Amy owned, because I don't know how much she was worth, but he should be the person that receives all of it. It all went to him. So the dynamics between Amy and the followers was, again, they had to pick a side, basically. The Two of Swords is difficult decisions, painful choices, being torn between two loyalties, feeling caught in the middle, kind of a sense of denial as well, denying the negative parts of the actual male figure, denying that he's doing this for anything other than to be of service, to help, to try to help her. And, they did. They were kind of avoiding looking at the disaster that was happening almost. The Nine of Swords in reverse is the negativity and them wanting to let it go, because issues just kept seeming to become worse. It became a burden, a feeling of shame as well. Is associated with this card too, I feel, because some of them thought that they were doing the right thing, and they were kind of mourning and blaming everything solely on the mother, but I don't feel like it was all her fault at all. I mean, I do think that she drank and the way that she behaved was of her own doing, but I really feel like the male that came in, specifically the last male, I'm feeling, that she ever had any kind of contact with, relationship-wise or Father God-wise, was very manipulative, and he played on her mental health issues that he already knew that she had, which clearly she already had them. Obviously, it was untreated, and she was treating it herself, and feelings of grandiose, all of that. Well, if you know how to manipulate people, you know how to use that to your advantage. And I think that is, a big thing that people that have cults, people who run MLMs, they really target the mental health part of it. People that are going through mentally hard times, going through things emotionally, because people make, more blind decisions if they're not clear. You know, there's no clarity. I feel like he pushed the drinking, you know, he pushed the temptation. He was tempting her and trying to keep her distracted in order to ultimately end her life so that their new beginning with him in the power position and gaining all of her stuff material wise was the plan, you know. I don't know. I don't feel I don't feel that cults are good because good for the same reasons I don't think necessarily churches are good in all that respect, because people just trust, blindly trust, and don't look for themselves and don't go, you know, seeing what they feel is right, you know, going with their gut instinct, keeping what they, you know, what resonates with them, and throwing away the rest, you know. It wasn't for you, you know, that's not for you, that's not what you know, that doesn't feel right to you, then that doesn't feel right to you. There's a reason that something doesn't feel right to you, and to just blindly agree or go along and not make decisions for yourself and actually do the due diligence to find out for yourself, then you're doing a real disservice to God. I do think that she was very mentally unkelped, so to speak, especially towards the end. I don't think that her health was all that negative until some type of accident that did occur in her spinal area, but it required, it was in such a way that she needed to go get it taken care of, and because of him and his encouragement and him telling her, you know, she was blocked. She was blocked because of her overindulgence, because of her cloudiness, because of being so far off balance that she couldn't even try to pick herself back up again. You know, she was get blocked from spirit, and she couldn't clarify. Her instincts were no longer, her natural instincts were no longer there, and she wasn't able to see what was real and what wasn't anymore. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. Light and love always. Hate is never good. Yelling at people is never good. When you say light and love has won, that means that no matter what, you choose love. You choose to be a loving guiding force in your own life and in the people around you. Give to yourself and everybody else equally. Don't be selfish. Be free with the love. Freely give love to anybody that needs it, and if they got hate to give, you know, take that emotion and turn it into something positive, because that's what love can do. It can turn negatives into positives. There's some way to do that. I mean, it can go vice versa, I guess, but that's the only way to do it, is to transform it. But you can't transform hate by giving more hate. That's not at all how that works. Double negative there. Okay, so anyways, I'm rambling. Love you guys. I hope you enjoyed the video.